All right, we are on the Check Your Understanding on page 99. And it says, for which values of the variable is each radical defined, and simplify the radical if possible. So we're going to answer the first part. So we're going to find where this radical is defined. So what that means is we need to take our variable a and figure out if a can be negative, if a can be 0, and if a can be positive. So can a be negative? So what we want to do is we want to pretend it's negative. So if we take a negative number and we square it, we get a positive. So then what we're going to get is we're going to get the square root of 45 times some positive. Okay. When we do that, we're going to get some positive number. And yes, we can take the square root of a positive number. So that means that a can be negative. Can a be 0? Okay, so if we take 0 and we square it, we get 0. Okay, and then if we take the square root of 45 times 0, well, 45 times 0 is 0. We just get the square root of 0, which is 0. So yes, a can be 0. Now we want to see if a can be positive. So if we take a positive and we square it, we know that's positive. And so it's going to just follow the same steps as up here. Okay, so that means a can be negative, a can be 0, and a can be positive. So when that happens, we say a belongs to the real numbers. So that's the first part of our answer. Now we need to simplify the radical if possible. So as I have up here, simplify really means change it into a mixed radical. So we're going to take the way I usually do this question, and I'm going to prime factor 45 and a squared. Okay, so 45, two numbers that equal 45 are 9 and 5. 9 is not prime, so we need to take that down to 3 and 3. 3 is prime, 5 is prime. So that's prime factored. And then because we're dealing with the square roots, we circle our factors in groups of 2 if possible. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a squared. A squared is just a times a, and we can circle these. So everything that I've circled goes on the outside of the radical. So I'm going to have, and it's only represented, when I circle a group, we represent that on the outside but with one of those. So we're going to have 3 and a on the outside. And then on the inside, I put whatever I haven't circled. So the only thing I haven't circled is 5. So my answer is 3a times radical 5, where a can belong to the real numbers. Now you notice in your answer key that they actually want the absolute value of a. I'm not going to be super picky about that. I'm just going to leave it at that. So you can put the absolute value there. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm not going to be super fussy. So let's do another one. So we're going to do radical negative 27 b to the 9. So again, I need to tell which values the variable can be for this radical to be defined. So I'm going to ask myself the same 3 questions I asked above. What happens when b is negative? So if I take a negative number and put it to the power of 9, because 9 is odd, a negative number to an odd power gives us a negative. So then if I take the square root of negative 27 times some negative number, well, negative 27 is negative, so negative times a negative gives us a positive, and we can take the square root of that. So yes, b can be negative. Can b equal 0? So if I take 0, take it to the power of 9, it's 0. If I take negative 27 and multiply it by 0, I get this 0. So can I take the square root of 0? Yes, it's just 0. So yes, b can be 0. Now, can b be positive? So if I take a positive number and put it to the power of 9, well, any positive number to a a positive number to any power is always going to give you a positive. So then I have the square root of 27 times a positive. Well, negative 27 is negative. A negative times a positive is negative. So it's asking me to take the square root of a negative number. I cannot do that. Okay, so b has to be negative or b can be 0. So we express that by saying b has to be less than or equal to 0. Okay, because less than 0 is negative, and then 0, 0. Okay, so we know the variable has to be less than or equal to 0. Now we need to simplify this radical if possible. So I'm going to take the 27 and prime factor it. So 27 goes down to 9 and 3. 9 goes down to 3 and 3. And then b to the 9. Well, that's just b times itself 9 times. Okay. Once you do these a lot, you probably won't have to factor b quite like this. Okay. So now, because I'm taking the square root, that means I circle my factors in groups of 2. So I have 2 3's here. I only have 1 3, so I can't circle that 3. I have 2 b's, 2 b's, 2 b's, and 2 b's. So again, I represent each group on the outside of the radical with one of them. So what I'm going to do here is write my 3, and I have 4 b's. So basically what that is b times b times b times b. So that's b to the 4. And then what I haven't circled, well, we still have that negative. I have a 3 and I have a b. So my answer is the same as the answer key. Yay. So again, there's 2 parts to my answer. There's this one, where I define what b can be, and then this is my simplified version. I'm just going to check my time here. So I am going to do the next 2 examples in the next video.